Kelin,
Joe.
did you watch a Friday on Friday?
I did. I stayed up well past my bedtime because I bought into the marketing that was this fight. Did you see it?
Nope.
You didn't?
Nope.
Wait a minute. I stayed up late and you didn't?
I don't stay up late. I get up at 5:30 in the morning. Anything after 10:30 is dead to me.
Well, I mean, it being a Friday night, I knew I wasn't getting up at 5:30 the next morning, but it was rough. It was real rough to stay up that late. And I don't even follow boxing. And I'm sitting there just yelling at the TV because we thought it was our internet connection, which we find out was a Netflix issue. So you didn't see any of that. You didn't see the frustration?
Well, no, I saw it, but I just didn't see it live.
Okay.
So I saw everything there needed to be with that fight.
Everything that needed to be seen. Yeah.
It was a shit show. Boxing is not an old man's game. It is totally a young man's game.
Yeah.
And it was such a money grab. I'm so glad I didn't pay for it or stay up for it because it was terrible.
Yeah.
I feel bad for Netflix because, I was sort of on the train where, we cut the cable and we sort of like send content to other providers, and the cable companies are like, bitches, like would have never had that problem had you had a physical coax cable running into your place. And so that was not great.
And it was, I even said leading up to this fight, I said, this is just about making money. It's kind of like with WWE where the two fighters don't really have it out for each other. They don't really personally hate each other. There's a storyline. They talk a lot of crap. They make the viewers, they evoke this emotional response so that you tune in. And I 100% tuned in for that emotional response. I had no idea who Jake Paul was before this event. I didn't follow boxing. I couldn't tell you anything about the fighters leading up to it, but I watched every single fight. And it was so evident that Mike Tyson is every bit of a 58-year-old retiree. I think we all thought we were going to witness a miracle or something was going to happen that didn't happen. It was very obvious Jake Paul was holding back and was not going to pummel this guy. Everybody just felt kind of sad after it started. And we're just like, please just don't let Mike go down because that would just be unbearably sad. Don't let him fall. And I think Jake Paul purposely held back and made sure that didn't happen because that just would have been too heartbreaking to see. And, it was very cordial at the end. Jake Paul was very respectful. It was nice. It was just like, we stayed up for this. The best by far were the girls. Did you see any of that?
I saw highlights of those, yeah.
Oh,
so here's the difference, and I want to throw a spoiler out there. Nothing you witness on the business end of television is real, okay? Television shows, movies, sports, anything that's high-ticket items is fake.
Yeah.
Now, I've been to amateur boxing, and that shit is real. Those people, you don't know who the winner is. They're not given any guidance. They're not curated and choreographed in a certain way. Mm-hmm. So you actually see fighting how it's intended to be, where you're going to have a winner and you don't know who it's going to be, and nobody's given an advantage. And, there's not like a person before the fight that's saying, here's your script, bitches, right?
Yeah.
Everything other than amateur is all scripted. It's all for the business sense. So I don't care if it's WWE, I don't care if it's reality television, all of it is fake, and because it's a business, and there is an end that you'll be happy about, there'll be an end that you're disappointed in, and there'll be an end that you'll be downright pissed off about.
Yeah.
And so they will give you the end product that viewers are looking for, and there's no exception. It's fake.
I mean, I very much got that sense with the Paul Tyson fight, for sure. For sure, you could tell that this was just a lot of hype to make money. And they had to put on a fight because they promised one. And when you watched it, it was like, wow, we all fell for this. This is so clearly just malarkey that they advertised and marketed extensively. Do you think the girls' fight was too, though?
Fake? No, absolutely
not.
not.
That to me,
yeah, those fights were all like grassroots fights.
Yeah.
Those were legit. People trying to make a name for themselves, and they were fighting hard, and they put it all out on the line. You didn't get a sense when, Jake Paul was holding back on there that he was putting it all on the line for anything. He was being, like you said, cordial. He could have bashed the shit out of Tyson only because the dude is 58 years old.
Yeah.
But here's a point. I consider boxing I consider boxing entertainment. Music's entertainment. Reality TV shows are entertainment. What I notice about all of those fields is that you don't have a next generation. The people who are making big money on the stage are in their 50s. I don't care if you're talking about politics, music, movies, whatever. Where's the next generation of Nirvana?
Yeah.
Like 20-year-old kids that are just pushing against the machine and they're popular because of it. Like, you don't have that anymore.
Do you at all see Jake Paul in that realm? I mean, I guess he's just like a social media influencer that one day said, I'm going to be a boxer.
Yeah, for sure.
And I mean, I guess he's making a ton of money. Supposedly,
but
he's
these
the
aren't.
reason.
My point is, it's not organic. It's people are fetched, and they bring the audience with them. Where you take a popular person, if they could have put like Taylor Swift against Mike Tyson, they would have totally done that shit.
Yeah,
big audience, they'll show up. Someone's gonna get their ass beat. Like, that's a payday for those people.
Yeah,
I'm talking about the authentic musicians and the authentic athletes. It's just not like a guy just comes up to the ranks. Have you noticed in like even professional sports? When anybody has like a milestone, like this is their 1,000th, game or whatever, they have a banner day. Like, they do something exceptional and they're able to celebrate it. It's not like his 1,000th game and he didn't catch any passes.
It was just nah.
Yeah, right. Yeah. No, that never happens. So it's all orchestrated, and it sort of like erodes not for most people. People like you and I that kind of see through the bullshit. We get a little bit of a diminished returns because it's all fake. But there are people that show up at wrestling, right? Mm-hmm. And they may or may not know it's real or not, but they're heavily invested as if it's not. And I think that delusion is what sells.
Well, and that's why it was so interesting to hear about the people that bet big money on this fight. Anything from like betting as to what round it's going to end in, who's getting knocked out, all this stuff. And then I actually saw a couple of like reaction videos and reels online of people just smashing their TVs because they lost so much money. And I wanted to be like, did you honestly think a 27-year-old and a 58-year-old retiree who almost died this summer were really going to have that big of a fight I don't know. Were they that dumb? Did they just think that maybe?
I'm telling you, bought into the delusion is a real thing, whether it's politics, entertainment, or even athletics. People are bought in that what they're looking at is legitimate.
I mean, I was sitting there struggling to stay awake, looked at my husband and was like, I'm seriously sitting here right now because of the marketing. Like I said, I don't know who this guy is.
Did you put any money on it?
No. I wouldn't have watched it if it were not free. But I did. I got into it like a TV show that everybody was talking about, some series premiere of something, I totally bought into where, like, if something crazy happens and everybody saw it, then I want to be able to have seen it too, and I want to see it live. I don't want to see reaction videos.
And you experienced buffering and his ass.
Gosh. Yeah, and why did they do that? his son interviewed him in the locker room, and then the camera pans down to Mike's naked bare ass, and I'm just like, why? Why are they gonna do that to him? Seriously? It's not already sad that this man is hobbling around a rink, clearly unstable, like literally, physically. He had a knee injury. He was not solid on his feet. But before even all that started, you got to do that to him. What the hell? Do you think Mike knew? He had to have known. I mean, basically had no clothes on during this interview. He had to have known that something could be visible, and it was.
We're talking about it.
That's exactly what they wanted. They got millions of dollars off of it.
Okay, so let's rewind. And going into the fight, there was the slap, right? Mm-hmm. So here's what happened. The promoter comes in and says, you guys are going to go nose to nose. And then Mike is going to slap you. And Jake was like, if it brings in more seats, we'll pretend like this is a grudge match, right?
Yeah.
And so he takes the slap and totally fabricated. There was not an authentic slap.
See, I feel like that was one thing they keep trying to, spin off as, okay, so this fight we all knew, but that was real. But
totally. No way in hell. Everybody has expectations. The tensions are high. They're nose to nose. They're about to fight. And what do you think? They're just going to shake hands?
Yeah. And then they're like, oh, it's because you stepped on his toe.
BS.
I'm like,
fake.
I watched that video repeatedly, and he barely hit his toe. It was just the weirdest. It was just the weirdest publicity stunt, this whole thing. And it's so ridiculous how much it worked. It worked. Millions of viewers, millions of dollars, records broken on attendance and views and all this stuff for the dumbest. I don't know. Like I said, if it weren't for the girls, the girl fight was pretty cool.
Now, if you paid $10,000 to be in the arena to watch that fight, would you be disappointed that you just put up $10K?
Yeah, I think I would. And it wasn't even so much the fact that, I kept hearing comments like, oh, everybody's surprised that a 58-year-old man turned out to be a 58-year-old man, and that's how he acted. It wasn't so much the letdown of we were hoping that it was going to be a good fight, but it was the letdown of not only was it not a good fight, but it's so apparent how bamboozled we've all been. That they in no way were going to have a good fight, that this is just the biggest hoax kind of feeling, you know what I mean? I don't know. I guess if I was incredibly rich, the whole experience would have been something. The energy of the room, the fights leading up to it, the smack talk, the showmanship of it all. I guess if you can look at it that way. You can look at it as, just like you would pay to go to a show that is not real. You pay to go to that show that is not real, and you have a good time because that's what you're expecting. But for some reason, it just didn't land in the end. The end was just so, just uneventful and okay. And somebody even said, the energy in that room shifted, and I swear you could tell that even watching from home. You really could. Everybody was just like, seriously, are we doing this? I stayed up for this.
But you got to see Mike Tyson's ass. Like, not everybody can say that.
That's very true. Unfortunately.
Wasn't a great experience? Mike Tyson's ass wasn't impressive?
I felt bad for him,
Why are you turning red? Like, talking about Mike Tyson's ass makes you blush?
I felt bad for him. In that moment, I literally said, why are they going to do that to him? Why are they going to do that to him? Why would they embarrass him like that? But hindsight, again.
Hindsight. I see what you did there. And that wasn't even on purpose.
It wasn't. But he had to have known. I mean, clearly he has no pants on camera. Yeah, I wonder if that was even planned. By the way, when you walk away from this interview, we're going to pan down and show your ass. Like, I don't even know what's real anymore.
Did he strut a little bit across the camera?
No, he just walked. He's just so... I can't tell. The videos from that night and the videos even afterwards, I I have a real hard time trying to figure out what headspace Tyson is in anymore. I don't know if you saw, there's a video online of a kid interviewing him, this little girl.
Yeah.
Did you see that about what's your legacy?
Right.
What the hell was that about? You know, it's a child interviewing, what do you want your legacy to be? And he's like, I don't believe in legacy. That's another word for ego. F legacy. He's dropping F-bombs in front of this kid. And he's just like, what? You're here for a little bit and then you die. Then you're dust. Then you're nothing. I'm going to be nothing. Nobody cares about a legacy. There's no legacy. I'm dying. I'm gone. And that's it. And I'm just like, and this poor kid is like, great. And I'm just like, what the hell is wrong with you, Mike?
Dude, you're in a sport where concussions are the status quo.
Yeah.
97 concussions later, your brain is not functioning the way that it once was. And you kind of just say what other synapses throw out of your face hole.
Yeah. And
That's really what it comes
that's
down to.
what I was thinking is I wonder how much of that is just being hit in the head repeatedly and like, Mike, read the room. Your brain's not able to, I guess. And how much is just, he's an asshole that gave an asshole answer. I don't know. You think it's more just head injuries rather than...
No, it's absolutely head injuries. But he owned a tiger once, and he walked it down the street. And so you're allowed to say shit to kids like that when you have a tiger. It's just a whole level
I didn't realize
of machismo that you just don't know about.
I had a tiger, and I tattooed my face, and now I'm going to give this answer to a kid. Mm-hmm. Oh, I saw that, and I was just like, this guy is...
Okay, so let's just say he gives a legit human being answer. You would be disappointed. Like, that was a Mike Tyson answer? Come on.
Yeah.
He did what was expected of him, and he came through for you.
And what's interesting, too, is he had said something about leading up to this fight. This whole fight gave him, like, new purpose and improved his life, you know, training and being focused on this goal, and his relationship with his family is better. He was healthier. Things were just better in his life because of the preparation that went into this big fight. And all I can think is like, holy crap, how bad were things that now it's better? I don't know.
Well, when you invest so heavily into one really thin segment, right?
Yeah.
And then you get out of that segment, you kind of lose your identity a little bit. So if you trained from the time you were 8 years old to be a boxer, and then you went through life being a boxer, like, think about how unfulfilling pretty much everything else is.
Yeah. And I mean, it was so months and months of hype for something that lasted less than an hour. I mean, from walkout to finish. Yeah. It's almost like, what's he do now? Jake Paul, I feel like, is going to continue being an influencer. He's going to continue just running his mouth for shock value and making money. And part of me can appreciate that there's some good he does from what I've heard. You know, apparently he advocated for the female fighters to get paid and speaks out against, addiction and things like that on his platform. So I'm sure he's not like he's a bad guy, but like Tyson is just, I don't know. I almost feel bad. Like, what's Mike got now? I mean, I guess he could just enjoy retirement.
Just go retire. Just kind of fade and do the Hangover 19 and be happy.
Speaking of which, I didn't even notice at the time. I totally missed it. Did you see the song that Jake Paul walked out to? Did you see any of his walkout?
No.
He was like in a car driving, and it was Phil Collins' "In the Air Tonight." And I kept thinking, that's an odd hype song. I don't know why I would pick that. And then I didn't even realize that
you
was
got it.
From The Hangover.
Yes.
I didn't even notice that until like way later. And my husband's like, oh yeah, you didn't catch that? I said, I did not put the two together that was the song Tyson was singing in The Hangover. And I'm like, okay, that's kind of funny.
Got him.
This whole thing was planned.
I bet $50 on Jake Paul. And I won $22.50.
So you got something out of it.
I did.
That's probably a lot more than anybody else got out of that whole night.
I got the highlight reels. I made $20 on it. Polymarket again was correct. So those detractors who said that the people who put money down on things like President Trump being elected and Jake Paul winning, both Polymarket nailed perfectly.
Yeah. Did you do anything as far as a lot of people were betting like when it would end or what round?
I just did straight up, nice and easy.
He's going to win.
He's going to win.
So regardless whether it was knockout, technical, anything.
Yeah, you can bet on any of it. Like if there was, if there was a knockout in rounds 1 through whatever, you can bet on pretty much every version of that fight. But I just took the easy one.
I think I kept hearing so many people say it's not going to go the distance. It's not going all 8 rounds. This is going to be over quick. And that's not the case.
Well, just having followed Mike Tyson when in his prime, his uppercut, like if he lands something on you, like you're into next Tuesday.
Yeah.
And I was thinking like, okay, well, if it goes the distance, Jake Paul wins, no doubt. And do I think Jake Paul's going to come out against one of his heroes and really fight this the normal way? Not a chance in hell.
Yeah.
And so had Jake Paul come out and slow played it and Tyson connected on one of those uppercuts, that's really the only way Tyson wins that. If he sews it up early with a knockout from that uppercut. But he's a 50-year-old guy. There's no way he goes more than 3 rounds and hangs in there.
Oh God. And he looked tired.
For sure.
He was breathing heavy. He looked like he was hurting. Yeah. And I don't even, I kept saying too, even if Jake Paul wins this, Jake Paul has no reason to say he beat Mike Tyson in any capacity, because that is not fighting Iron Mike Tyson. There is a huge difference between what Jake Paul knew Tyson to be and watched when he was younger and the guy that fought Friday night.
Right.
You beat a 58-year-old retiree with health issues, not Mike Tyson.
And that's why he took his foot off the gas.
Yeah.
No doubt.
I think he
All
knew
right, so
that.
if you were to take somebody, doesn't have to be even a boxer, and take somebody and put them in the ring that you think would draw a crowd, who would you like to see fight in the ring? No holds barred. Like there's no age requirements. There's no professions. Like who would make for a good match?
Well,
who's a good like nemesis?
Well, from the actual fighter's standpoint or boxing or actual fighting, and I feel like people are already talking about this, but again, I'm right there on the bandwagon. I want to see Jake Paul challenge Conor McGregor because I really think Paul will just get his ass handed to him, and I want to see that. So Colin McGregor, Jake Paul, I think that needs to happen. I don't know if it will, but I feel like people are already starting to maybe mention that, and I think that should be next. But you're talking about just people who aren't even fighters?
Yeah, so anything? Like anybody who talks shit at one another, and there doesn't ever seem to be a culmination where they just put it in the ring and get over their differences. And, in Rome, they would have done that. They would have taken those and put them in there with a tiger, I'm sure, and just have them air it out. And whoever walks away alive wins. And there's some people out there that would be a good challenge.
I hate to keep making these political, but...
No, do it.
I used to say I would pay good money to watch someone punch Donald Trump in the face. I don't feel that strongly about that anymore. But I bet a lot of people would pay to see that.
Like Donald Trump, Joe Biden, that would sort of be like the fight we just watched.
Yeah, that would almost be too. You need somebody that's a bit more of an equal match, I think.
In which way?
Like you can't have like a corpse fighting a
Joe Biden. Corpse and Joe Biden would be a good match.
Well, yeah, a corpse and Joe Biden would be more equal.
I don't know who I'd bet on. I just don't.
Yeah.
But who would be a good opponent to Donald Trump? Who you would really love to see just going at it? Because he's got nemesis and he's got people who talk a lot of shit. And I don't know that they would talk as much shit if they were in the ring with him.
It would be interesting, maybe one of the Obamas, either Michelle or Barack.
Mike or Barack?
Michelle or Barack. Yeah. Either one would be interesting to see. It would kind of be funny to see like maybe Nancy Pelosi and Trump go at it.
Who are you giving advantage to Trump?
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
Just a bigger dude, bigger arms,
bigger dude,
taller stature.
Yeah.
So give me a good opponent, something that would make for a good fight.
Oh man, I don't know. Do you have anyone in mind? Somebody who'd be a good fight. We'd like to see.
Talks a lot of shit.
I feel like in this day and age, Diddy's got to go in the ring against someone. Who could fight Diddy?
Diddy's done. Diddy's not fighting anybody.
He's somebody that he would like. People would want to see him get beat.
How about Trump and Cenk Unger?
I don't know who that is.
Big dude. Like,
big dude?
Yeah, let me show you a picture of Cenk.
His name is Cenk?
Cenk.
Reminds me of like Chunk from the Goonies.
There's Cenk.
Oh, I know who that is from the Young Turks.
Yes.
Okay.
So he's a big dude. Let's see.
Oh, yeah. Those two would go at it.
Let's see what his height is. 5'9". No,
that's how tall I am.
He'd get squished.
How tall is
Trump?
Trump
Is 6'3".
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
Well, he's probably a bit younger than Trump, don't you think?
Yeah.
I think he's a good bit younger, so maybe that would even out. There's Joe Rogan. Who could Joe Rogan fight? Maybe Joe Rogan versus Jake Paul.
That would be an interesting one. That would be an old guard, new guard. And I think, from a discipline standpoint, I'd give Rogan the advantage. And from a youth standpoint, I'd go with Jake Paul.
Has Rogan ever actually been a fighter or just a commentator?
He was a fighter.
Okay.
Before he was a commentator.
So it's been quite a while.
Yeah. He's still, just like Tyson, he's never stops training. Once you get that in your blood, he's always training for the next fight that, so he's stacked. He's ready to go.
I think Rogan could hold his own for sure. That's what I would like to see is let's have a real fight. Now that we've all sort of had this letdown of something that was just purely for show, let's now do it again, but not for show. I feel like the American people want violence. We want to see an actual good fight.
How about weapons? Can we put weapons in there?
No.
Like maybe.
No, but maybe make it more MMA than boxing. Maybe just like all out. Like very few
But
rules.
you're limited to the people who can do MMA well, and you've eliminated the people we'd really want to see. Like if you put Trump in there and gave him a baseball bat with barbed wire on it is different than trying to train him in taekwondo or jiu-jitsu, to do a fight. I would rather add the weapons as the advantage than making it MMA.
That would be interesting. I think MMA would be hilarious if you got someone who's not really been trained and they just...
Since you brought up politics, you were the one that broke the seal on that.
Sorry.
Anytime you make an accusation politically, you have to get in the ring with the other person and have it solved with violence.
Yeah.
Then you kind of govern what you're willing to throw out there. Like, Trump's a Nazi. Okay, shit talker, let's go.
Yeah.
And I'll Nazi your ass right off the top rope.
Yep. Would you have maybe Kamala versus someone?
I don't know. That would be a bloodbath. I just don't see... I don't really see her as the physical.
Like you don't think she would physically go at someone?
I don't think so.
Would you ever pit a male and a female together?
Sure. I mean, why not? It's all equality.
Yeah,
I think
a Trump Pelosi thing.
Yeah.
That would probably be pretty funny.
And I'm sure if you tell AI to make that happen, it will even give you the outcome before it's happened in real life.
We should Google and let's have AI decide who needs to fight each other and just see what AI comes up with. That would be interesting.
Okay. I think we've put that topic to bed. I think this is one of the biggest shit shows as far as boxing has ever been concerned.
Yeah.
I mean, in the 90s, I watched a lot of paid for a lot of boxing. And the matches that were the headliners always were the most disappointing because they either were over too quickly and there was like 3 punches and it's done.
Yeah.
Or it was a hug fest where all they did was, link up and couldn't get them to actually box at each other.
Yeah.
The fights leading up to it, the undercards, were always way better than the featured match. And so anyway, done with the boxing thing. So let's get into topic number 2. Do you have any topics, by the way?
No, that was it.
Boxing was it.
That was all I got.
All right. Thanksgiving coming up.
Yeah.
All right. Let's set up some rules for Thanksgiving.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because there is a decorum. There is, there's some things that would probably make Thanksgiving better and things that would make Thanksgiving worse. So do you have any rules first off?
Not really, at least not anymore. Back in the day, I think there was a very brief period where I think my mother-in-law tried to do the no politics discussion because she thought people were arguing, and we're like, we're not arguing. It's a discussion. It's a debate. We're all getting along fine. But that was really it, I think.
So no politics, yes or no?
Maybe this year I would be willing to instate that rule this year, only because it would get so heated. I would say that would probably be a good one this year. Let's not.
But if somebody is super thankful that Trump has been elected, you're going to deny them the thankfulness of Trump at Thanksgiving?
I'm not denying them. No. I mean, maybe just put a little asterisk next to it, like say things at your own risk. Like half of the people there are going to be like, yay, he won. And half of the people there are going to be miserable. And do you want to even bring that up?
Do you have a family member that will bring up politics because that's their thing?
Not really, no. Not this year. I don't think so. Maybe in past years, different family members, but probably not now. You have someone that would?
Oh, no doubt. Like
is it you?
No. We have made people leave Thanksgiving before dinner was served because of the thickness of politics that came out. This was like 2017.
You made them leave?
I didn't make them leave. No, they left on their own accord because they were displeased about the topics that were being discussed at the table.
This was family or friends?
Well, family, friends.
Really?
Close family, yeah.
Was that awkward?
I didn't care. Like I didn't really shed a tear.
Did they say, was it more we're leaving because we don't want to discuss this at all, or we're leaving because we don't have the same opinion?
It happened so fast. It was I think it was 2017. It was over immigration, and the first time Trump won, it was something about immigration, and they got mad about undocumented workers. Somebody said something, get them out of here or whatever. And then they were like, well, this intolerance, I'm not going to prohibit. And they left Thanksgiving.
Interesting.
Yeah. I was thankful. So it kind of hit the theme.
You were thankful they left?
They left, yeah. Because after that moment, it was very peaceful. And so I was thankful that we achieved some kind of peace. But I wish that you can talk about things like here. One of the big parts of ego is that consideration for me that maybe you're wrong, right? Mm-hmm. What if you had it all wrong? Trump really wasn't a Nazi, and immigrant workers are really bad for the economy, and just questioning and listening to somebody else's take and thinking, well, maybe I have it wrong. But everybody comes to Thanksgiving knowing they're right and everybody's wrong.
Yeah.
So when someone lobs up something, instead of it becoming a topic of discussion, it ends up being a contentious, deal, and somebody leaves brokenhearted.
I am sort of curious if that's something we're going to face this year. Not so much Thanksgiving, but Christmas. We see more people like Christmas Eve, Christmas time. And I do know that there's a good amount of the family divided on politics this year. And there are really strong feelings to one side versus the other. And some are very I don't even know if they're outspoken in person. They're outspoken online, so maybe not so much in person because they know that they're going to be around other family members that have a different view. But I'm kind of interested to see how Christmas is going to go. Because, yeah, there's been some
It's going to be close to inauguration. People are going to be upsetty spaghetti, and that's the time to hash it out.
I don't know, which is so weird. Like, if you were going to a family event and you saw a family member just constantly posting and sharing and something that is just polar opposite of what you think is right, do you feel the need to discuss it in person then at a family event?
I'm a shit poster. So that's what I do, is that if I know you're something, like I have my father-in-law, it was very hardcore into Kamala Harris. And so I made sure that I was like, how'd that election go? Or anytime that I can take, those little bones on your spine and your knuckles line up with that. If I can rub my knuckles down the back of your spine with
your
words,
vertebrae.
I do that. And it's effective, and in good spirits. He was like, he knows he won or he lost and didn't win. And it becomes like a fun little ribbing. That's what guys do.
Yeah. It's interesting though. I mean, I could always, I guess when it comes to Trump and Kamala, I could see people sort of being at odds. But it's funny to me because I was undecided for a long time. And then even when I was leaning to one direction, I could still see the other people's point. So I didn't feel, super strongly about someone else's opinion. But I started to feel strongly about RFK. And so when people were like, at this point, RFK shouldn't even be in your mouth and blah, blah, blah. And anybody that could support this guy is obviously this and that. And I'm just like, so now I'm kind of like, oh, well, I'm just going to put my Maha gear on and my Kennedy shirt. And I'm like, maybe I should wear that to Christmas. We'll see. I don't know. But
did you see the McDonald's picture?
I did.
Dude.
And of course, all the Kamala supporters are eating that up. No pun intended, but
that was a shit picture. It really was.
RFK's face in that picture is like, he looks uncomfortable. He looks uncomfortable. Like, what are we doing here? What was that? Is that a real picture, number one? Do we even know if that's real?
No, I don't know.
So we don't even know if that's real or not, or if it's AI. It could be totally fabricated, number one. Number two, if it is real, part of me is like, okay, well, they got to make some money back maybe for their campaign. Is McDonald's paying them to do this? Is this sponsored somehow? I don't know. There's so many different questions. Is that their way of being like, make America healthy again, but we're also not trying to bash businesses like fast food businesses. We still want them on our side. We don't want them to think we're against them. There's so much to think about in that picture. But of course, everybody who was against RFK and Trump were just eating that up like, look at this. They're a bunch of liars or traitors. And it's like, that's...
Well, all right. Let me play devil's advocate and say that, having healthy choices that are actually healthy versus your choices. And if you want to eat some McDonald's, whatever, at least you know that it's not great for you. Mm-hmm. But it was not a good look, especially if that is your 100% your focus within government is to appeal to people's senses and not be so unhealthy. It's just a bad look. So it's the opposite. Your good marketing to watch Mike Tyson that was effective. Mm-hmm. This is the opposite of that. So have him gnaw on some celery would have been greater optics than gnawing on. Well, he wasn't eating it, but still.
Do you think it could have been a joke? Like maybe they're being a little
trolling?
Ha-ha?
Could be. It's not a. Yeah, it could be.
You know how some people thought Tony Hinchcliffe speaking was in poor taste and maybe a bad idea. Some people not so much. Could this have just been another dig at you
totally
kind of thing?
And I would appreciate that if it was more obvious that it was a jousting.
Yeah, if they already know that they are getting so much flack from the other side. Could they have just done this as a setup to just dig at that other side a little bit, They're not really eating it. They're not really whatever, but I don't know. I could see that being the case too. Is just being a little brat about it, and
could be.
Yeah.
All right, so let me give you my rules for Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Okay, and these will be things that will, you know, kind of save you from the heartache of what Thanksgiving can provide. Because I just don't think that we sort of have the proper principles to pull it off well. And so let me ask you a couple questions.
Okay.
If you're hungry going in, how many times up to the food, how many servings is too much?
Is too much?
Yeah. Can you go 5 times?
No.
2 times?
Yes.
3 times?
Maybe twice, and then a third time later that night.
Okay.
Yeah.
What if you take like a small portion and you don't want to overdo it? Can you go back multiple times? Like if I just load up on turkey and I'm done with the turkey, then I go back for the sides?
Yeah, like multiple trips, but smaller portions. Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so we'll say 3 is that magic number. Don't go back to the food more than 3 times, excluding dessert, which dessert comes later anyway.
Yes.
When you're in a stranger's house, do you wear your shoes inside or you take them off?
I feel like gut reaction protocol is take them off.
Take them off.
Yeah, I mean,
Always.
I've been to places before where, you know, we'll bend over to start taking shoes off, and occasionally you'll get a, don't even worry about it. You guys don't have to do that. But that's typically if you're there
But
briefly.
even if they say that, tough shitski, take them off. Like it's polite that in spite of being courteous on the host side, take your damn shoes off.
I feel like nowadays most people, it's like it's almost like automatic. You come in, you just do it. Maybe not with everyone.
On the bottom
I
of your
guess.
shoes, there's so much bacteria and dirt. Tracking that into someone's house is unfair. Multiply that by 25 people. Just don't do that to people.
Yeah.
I would rather stinky feet than the bacteria that's on the soles of your shoes.
Really?
Totally.
Oh,
all right, so that's number 1, the shoes. What about eating food outside the dining area? If you wander into the living room where there's carpeted places and you're munching on the couch, is that proper?
Again, I feel like it's the setting. It's the setting. I have been to very casual places where maybe they don't even have a big dining room table. It is sort of a get your food and sit wherever you want, in which case, fine, just be careful. But if there is an organized, you know, like a designated table, then I would think it stays at that table.
Okay, bullshit. Eat in the kitchen or the dining room. Don't wander off and keep the drinks where they're hardwood floors.
Gosh,
no
yes,
couches and carpets. None.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. The TV's on, but it's not something you would be watching. Is it safe to turn the channel on the TV to the football game?
Is anybody watching at the time?
It doesn't matter. You're just a stranger in this house, and you've got the clicker, and the clicker could turn channels. Do you do it?
If I'm a stranger in someone's house, I don't touch the clicker.
Yeah, ask permission, bitches.
Yeah.
Like, you do not touch anybody else's thing, ever.
Oh, God, that's
no shoes,
so weird.
No eat or drinking outside the kitchen or dining room. No clickering.
Yeah.
All right, what about smokers? Is it appropriate to go outside and hoof it up and no ashtrays, flicking butts? Do you do that? Or would you do that?
I'll say I've never smoked, so I would not do that. I would hope somebody wouldn't do that.
Okay.
I mean, 100% go outside if you're going to smoke. And you got to fashion something. You can't just like throw it in their yard or something. That's rude and gross.
All right, toilet deposit. Where you threaten maybe the toilet backup. Are you looking for plungers before you do the deed? Or are you panicking after you've stopped up Mr. Toilet? You're in enemy territory here. And you do not want to be running out saying, I stopped up your toilet and it's spreading all over the bathroom floor.
I guess you should locate this first.
Ahead of time.
Yeah.
Yes, and turkey dinners are historically quick depositors into said toilet. So if you're watching the game and you ate a couple hours ago, there's chances that you're going to be redepositing to dinner. into the toilet is pretty high.
How about if it's a house that has multiple bathrooms? Do you make sure you go to the bathroom that is furthest away?
For sure.
But what if that is like, so what if there's, okay, let's say it's a 2-story home.
Yeah.
You are a guest. You've never been there. You don't know these people very well. The main floor where everybody's eating is close to a bathroom. You don't want to go there, but the other bathroom is maybe up by their bedroom.
No,
or
second floor is off limits
or,
to anybody that's not immediate family. So
yeah,
you don't venture
that would be weird.
Now, if you go to the basement and you hover over the drainage pipe, that would be acceptable because the basement is sort of for the animals. The first floor is for company, and the second floor is for family.
Animal hovering over the
so
drainage
if
pipe.
you don't know whether or not your family or friends, you're in the basement.
You would go to the basement and
hover the toilet. Yeah, hover a toilet or a drainage pipe. One of the two.
Okay,
that's for you.
That's for me.
Not you specifically, but if you're not one of those other two groups,
Yeah.
you're animal level.
Would you? So you would do the basement before the first story bathroom?
Well, if the first floor is already assumed that you're gonna have company like doing that, so they'll probably already, spray sanitizer and have the plunger ready.
Some poopery spray
Yes,
in there.
but if that one's taken, let's just say Aunt Marge is already occupied and she's going to be at least 20 minutes plus, then you're in the basement, and that one is more expendable because it's probably concrete anyway. And
maybe you should just be like, you know what? Are we out of ice? We need some more ice. I'm going to run to the gas station and get ice.
Go elsewhere. Absolutely, that is your best bet is to just go to the Dollar General or a gas station and unload there.
Gosh, I've not considered that before.
Okay, so we got smoking, shoes, we got where to eat, where to poop. What are other situations that Thanksgivingers might find themselves in?
Do you bring a date? Like if you started dating someone recently and it's a family event, do you need to tell somebody ahead of time I'm bringing a guest or just...
No, there's no Thanksgiving dinner that had a lack of food. So food requirements are not an issue. And I think that if you bring a date, it puts the proper family pressure on the date to really bring out the best/worst in that person. You can find a lot about your significant other when you put them in the pressure cooker that is Thanksgiving.
Yeah?
It's a good thing.
So you don't have to give the host a heads up that you're bringing someone.
No, eat more food, the better.
And then are you into, when it comes to family members bringing dates, are you okay with just anybody can bring anybody? It's somebody you know, bring them. Or do you think that should be reserved for a serious relationship? Like,
no, anybody. As long as they take off their shoes, they don't
they
bring
don't use
food.
the bathroom.
No bathroom.
That's by the dining room.
And they can handle the political banter without flipping out. Like, they're fine.
Interesting.
They follow the rules, you're good.
Have you had someone break multiple of these rules?
All the time. And I will go around and hang signs up as people are doing it. As a reminder, take off your shoes, and I'll plaster it right on the wall in hopes that those people, like, I'll make the, the confrontation happen. And I'll say, hey, dude, I had one guy one time. Hey, you need to take your shoes off after you get off of this area right here. They're like, oh, I got bad feet, right? I don't care. Go step on the carpet after your shoes are off and go watch TV. Get off your feet a little bit. And so, like, everybody's going to have sort of their reason why the rule don't apply to them. But my rules are like Soviet Union style rules. They do not have asterisks on them.
So maybe you should, if you're hosting, you should maybe, when you invite people, say, here's a list of rules, by the way.
I do.
And if you cannot...
don't come.
If you can't follow, don't show up. If you have bad feet and you need padding, bring slippers, bring something.
Make your own accommodations because your host will only go so far. I will provide the food. I will provide the warmth and a show that you might not even like to watch, but there'll be a show on the television. And you will have a pooper, whether it be in the basement or on the first floor. There will be one.
I don't know why I find the basement hovering over
the drain pipe, because it's totally illegal. Like, you do not want to put poop in the drain pipe. So don't try that at home, guys. You could just hover the normal toilet. But it's funny anyhow.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. Okay. Have you been to a Thanksgiving where maybe you're not hosting, you're the guest, and everyone there is just breaking the rules? And do you follow the rules and just feel like you're better than everyone?
Exactly. Yeah.
Like no one's taking shoes off.
I look around to
politics.
see. I look around and wait for the host to make their move to enforce the rules. I still apply them to myself because I'm a good visitor, but I'll watch to see how strict they get with them, and I'll be impressed when they start like throwing some bodies because of breaking the rules, and they never do. Like really, hosts are very polite, and so the sign on the wall, their sign, doesn't matter as much as my sign, where I make people adhere to them.
And you like legit kick someone out?
I've never. It's usually repeating the rules to them is enough to embarrass them to do the thing, even if they got like boils on their feet, they're taking their shoes off. And if they just was eating some pumpkin pie on my couch, they move over to. It's always they've always accommodated the rules.
You never had to kick anyone out?
I don't think so. I'm willing though.
You would?
Don't test me on the rules, because there are other. I have a feeling we got probably about 80% of the people celebrate Thanksgiving. If you don't like my rules, you can go right across the street and ask them if you can come to theirs. And I bet you to get in the front door, you're going to have to obey their rules.
Yeah.
And if you can't, or they won't let you in, you should have just freaking followed my rules and you would have been eating turkey by now.
What about if they're kids? Like, how are you with people bringing their kids that are just loud and running around and making messes?
We have a anarchy room where we make it ready for kids to do whatever it is that they're going to do.
I like that, the anarchy
They're
room.
not allowed to be in any non-anarchy rooms. And so, like, the only thing, like, nobody's ever drawn on the wall, and there's enough distractions to kind of keep them busy so they're not the little demons that they really are. And it's all worked out. But if let's just say it elevated, where, Bob Smith brought his kid over and his kid just trashed the room and whatever. Well, Bob Smith and his kid will be the last to leave as they clean up whatever deviant behavior their kid had done. So it's just part of the gig. You know it as a parent that you're responsible for your kid's actions. And I got freaking cameras. Like you can't say that my kid didn't draw on your Galaga game.
Yeah.
Right? I got footage.
See, my problem is I have no spine, and I would sit there probably, and I could see myself if somebody came over, I could be like, yeah, go ahead, you guys can leave your shoes here, whatever. You'll casually give the hint of take them off and leave them here. And if they just walked in, I'd be like, and maybe let it go. Or kids are running around doing stuff, and I'm just like.
Well, do you go passive aggressive at least? Like somebody doesn't take off their shoes when you ask them very nicely, and they walk into your living room and they've got like flies buzzing around their feet where their dog shit that was embedded in the soles of their shoes, and you're like, hey, let me share this with you. The CDC shared that there's 90% of everybody who walks in a house with shoes brings in salmonella and has killed 536,000 people this last year. Do you want to be responsible for killing all the children in this house? And then see if maybe a little guilt will make them take off of their shoes.
Well, what I would probably do is I would make it, I would turn it around to make it that I was the weird one. I'm sorry, I'm anal. Could you take your shoes off because I'm weird? Because I'm like, I would make it seem like it's my fault, even though it's not. Like, oh, could you not have your kid? Yeah, I actually just cleaned that. If they could go and sit at the table, because I'm sorry, I'm anal. I'm so OCD. Like, I would be so apologetic instead of like, why do you not know that you need to stop your kid from doing that?
Well, here's my recommendation for Thanksgiving. I don't think we should couple lying with Thanksgiving. We should be thankful that we can tell the people that we care about truthful things.
Yeah.
And just tell them when your kid's a shitbag and he's ruining things. Just say those things. I mean,
say your kid's a shitbag?
Your kid's a shit. Practice it.
Oh my gosh.
Your kid
is
a shitbag.
He's a shitbag.
And he's ruining my things.
Ruining everything.
And I'm not asking that he not ruin my things. I am telling you that he needs to stop ruining my things. You didn't practice that last part. You're not going to do it, are you? You're like, I'm so anal, I get really distracted when my prized possessions are in flames.
There was one time, I did have someone over one time, and their kid was throwing like, it was like a little ball or something he was playing with in the living room. And I actually said to the kid, I said, hey, we're not throwing the ball around anymore, because everybody was for a minute. And I said, hey, it's getting too risky. I don't want anything to break. We're not doing that anymore. And then he did it again. And I think I was like, do you see that? That's expensive. If you break it, I'm going to murder you. Like,
that's actually pretty good.
More than you do. Stop throwing the ball.
Yeah, you got it. This is the Kelin that needs to come out at Thanksgiving.
It does.
Peace and love and the really thin-veiled threat.
Peace and love. Listen, I love you, but I will murder you during the holidays.
That works. Totally works.
Peace and love and murder.
So kids jumping. Okay, so your kid has his shoes. The kid has his shoes on, holding pumpkin pies, jumping on the sofa, throwing a ball near your flat screen TV. Give me the
pretty much that was, other than the shoes, that was the scenario.
Go
basically.
Ahead. Oh, but that was your response. Okay, that was a.
I think at first I'm like, hey guys, let's not get down. And if it happens again, it's like, we're not doing this.
So you negotiate right with the kid, or you do it through the parents?
I say it sort of an all-encompassing, like, parents are there, we're all talking, everyone's around, and I'll say, hey, let's not jump on the couch. And typically the parent will be like, get off, don't do that. But typically the parent will then act. But if not,
a nice strategy would be go right to Bill Smith and say, your shitbag kid is jumping on my couch. Can you get him to stop? And that way you can proxy it through the accountability and the authority of the parent.
So
and then the kid hears it anyway.
You would do that first?
I don't know. Like, I'm just throwing out strategies. Like, you can go the passive route, like, we're not doing that anymore. And hopefully there's a response to that.
Yeah.
But if the kid just eyeballs you and said, you're not my dad, right?
Yeah.
You're not my mom. Then you might have been better off going through the authority figure and embarrassing the little shitbag in front of their parents. And then the parents would be obligated and the kid would already be humiliated. So that might give you a better chance.
Yeah. Chances are, I feel like, if the kid's being a real shitbag, like, there's a difference between just being a little kid, and typically you say anything at all, the parents are on it. But if the kid is a real shitbag and you have to say it more than once, then I probably don't care if I upset the parents at this point. Like, you're probably not that close to us, because if you were, you would have hopped on that before
you even mentioned it. You would have noticed that your little shitbag was destroying property and shut that shit down.
You would know that I don't want my house wrecked, and your little shitbag's doing something that's going to wreck my house, and I'm starting to sweat. And so
so you basically have two trains of thought. You have the Soviet Joe's place, where everybody feels the pressure and knowing what they can and can't do. So they're really safe and they feel that pressure and it's not as comfortable. And then you have the no rules anarchy, where everything, and you have to go around taking your big offenders and playing psyops against them to not destroy your shit. And in the end, like, just not having people over is sometimes the best choice.
Yeah.
Right? 0% chance of damage when it's just me eating my own turkey neck, right?
Yeah.
Other people you invite in, they bring all of their problems with them.
I'm guessing if you had it your way, all holidays would be alone.
Yes. Maybe the occasional FaceTime if you wanted to bring somebody in that you cared about.
Interaction.
Yeah.
You're not big on, like, traveling to see family for holidays or having family over.
But in neutral territory. So if you meet somebody at a restaurant, then, like, I don't care.
Oh, right? Yeah. You could do that.
Yeah. Go to the local Holiday Inn and get their Thanksgiving dinner and meet them there and eat the stuff. And you don't have to do anything.
Then you don't have to enforce any rules.
No rules. But your castle has rules. It has to. Like, it's not your castle if there aren't any rules.
Yeah. How do you feel about pets? If you are either if you're either hosting or you're a guest. If you're a host, should you keep your pet locked up? If you're a guest, should you mind if there's a pet or not? Should you be willing to be cool if there are pets running around? Do you not want pets running around? How are you when it comes to pets?
That's a negotiation. Okay. So, like, your service animal is going to stay in the car, as far as I'm concerned. Especially if somebody has like allergies or they're not real fond of pets or whatever. You can do without it for one meal and then go, join your service animal or your support animal as quick as you can.
I mean, the pet lives where you are.
So if there's a pet there, then you also have to be accommodating. Like when you send your stuff out, this is an area that if you have any allergies, be aware of that, because I've got a dog that has triple coats of fur and it's going to be everywhere. But I don't have it running around. It's confusing for the animal, and it could be a little oppressive for the people that are trying to enjoy their turkey when they're fighting with a dog for the bone. So you keep it locked up.
Even the owner. I mean, you have people, we've had pets in the past where we've specifically said, our dog doesn't do people food. Please don't give the dog any people food. And then they think it's cute to steal. And it's like,
I bet you they're wearing their shoes, dumping on the third floor, right, and talking politics while they're feeding your dog bones that'll probably kill them. I know. People are great that way.
The holidays are awesome.
But that's why we set up these rules, so you can start contemplating those situations before they happen. And then you can either take your passive-aggressive approach, or you can take my Stalin-like approach and figure out how you want to tangle with the people that are showing up.
This kind of validating, though, because when we first built our house that we're in now, again, I was even more anal because everything was new carpeting, new floors, new everything. I want to keep it nice. And of course it was just built. So there's not a lot of grass. There's a lot of mud, which makes it even scarier. So of course, take shoes off and everything. And we had a family member that was coming to visit from out of state and wanted to come by. They were staying somewhere else. They weren't staying with us, but they were coming to our house and wanted to bring their dog. Mm-hmm. And we said, I don't want your dog here. No offense, but there's nothing but mud outside. There's no way your dog's not going to track something in here. God forbid your dog has an accident in my brand new carpeting. And they obliged, but there was this tension that they had to travel all this way and they couldn't just bring their little dog and it would be fine and blah, blah, blah.
You can give them local kennels that would take care of their dog, because their dog is ultimately their responsibility, just like their kid is their responsibility. If that kid threw the ball, hit your TV, who's paying for it? Are you just going to be like, oh, that's okay, we're going to get a TV anyway? Or be like, Tom ruined something, you're buying me a new TV. Dogs are the same responsibility. But owners kind of like keep distance between the damage that their dogs create and the headache and, the extra pressures when they're not necessary there. So put them in a cage for the couple hours they're going to be eating dinner, and then you can go fetch them after dinner, and then you won't have inconvenienced anybody who's trying to enjoy themselves with the thanks of holiday.
If only people had this common sense.
But this is why, okay, so you saying not bringing up politics during Thanksgiving is the reason why we're bad at talking about things. And we have to use passive aggressiveness. If everybody just be honest and say, hey, I really love my dog and I'm not going anywhere without them. And I say, I don't want dogs in my house. And you're like, okay, well, I'm not coming to your house. And we're like, okay, agreement made, right? You come to conclusions and don't put these passive aggressive situations where you permitted a dog that you didn't want. And then the other person's like, why are they, putting pressures on my dog not to enjoy themselves by eating chicken leg or turkey legs? Right? You avoid all of that. Just truth and honesty. That's all you need.
I think, though, but some people don't see it so cut and dry. Like, it could be like, I don't want you to bring your pet or your shitbag kid or somebody. And the other person's like, well, I'm not coming without it.
That's fine.
And then you could say, well, have a good holiday.
That's it.
Maybe we'll see you at the next. But that's not what happens. It's now there's anger and resentment and
hold on.
Arguing.
There are 340 million people in this country. Arguing and resenting over one person means that they slide out and a new person slides in. You have choices here. So if some douchebag wants to predicate their friendship with you based on whether or not they can bring their dog, there might be 100 million people who will hang out with you and they don't have to have their dog, even if they really want to. So get rid of the douchebags and make way for the people who aren't douchebags. That's the real moral of the story.
Maybe that needs to be everyone's sort of New Year's resolution is take this holiday season. You've got a lot of topics right now that are iffy, so let's see how people handle themselves and weed out any of the people that you were like, you know what? You, not coming with me next year.
Yeah, and do like the airlines, right? So they got 100 seats on their plane. They overbook it by 20, knowing that 20 people aren't going to get on the plane anyway. And, you know, somebody's a no-show, they still have full occupancy. And if everybody shows up, then they give people vouchers and everybody's made happy. So if you're Thanksgiving, you've got 20 place settings. Invite 25 people. And then when you start circulating what to expect at my dinner and you alienate 5 of them, it's part of it. Oversell Thanksgiving. That's the way to do it. Then you're not hung up on one person not making the day. You got 5 people on the waiting list that are ready to sit at that place.
See, but I, 1, don't like confrontation, and
Okay.
2, can't just say, oh, well, they're unhappy. Okay, bye. We'll just replace you with another person.
Well, you don't have to have confrontation. The only way you get confrontation, if you ask a question that there really isn't a second answer to. If you're like, you are taking off your shoes, you're not like, okay, so mine is, you're taking off your shoes. There's one option, right?
Yeah.
There's not a confrontation because it wasn't a yes or no question, right?
Yeah.
Now, if passive-aggressive girl, not Kelin, walks up and says, hey, would you mind taking off your shoes? That is inviting 2 answers. That's inviting 2 answers. If one is yes, which that's the one you want. They took off their shoes. No, I got bunions on my feet, right? And now you have confrontation because you invited the bunion conversation in when I would have not had it. I don't care about bunions or smelly feet or I've got bad soul. I don't care, right? It's a yay or nay.
I'll be honest. I don't know what would bother me more, though. Shoes on or someone's gross, nasty feet.
As the owner of the castle, you get to decide that. You get to say whether or not you can put a little asterisk and say shoes off and lest you have leaking bunions. Then I'll take the shoes on in place of the shoes.
Like if your feet are real bad to the point that we're all going to sit here and smell this during dinner, by all means, I will clean the floor when you leave from your muddy shoes.
You can have an option where you can have
a
a shoe cleaning station that sanitizes the bottom of your soles. And then so bunion person could just clean their shoes and then everybody's happy.
You get those wraps, like people that come into your
home
that go over your shoes.
See, we are solving problems. And they don't cost a whole lot. You can get a 100-pack for $10 and they put the little booties on.
Yeah, put those booties on.
You solve some problems here.
Why don't you have those at your house?
No, because I like the conformity. I like to show that my style.
You're like, I really don't mind dirt in the house. I like controlling people.
100%.
That's what it is.
100%. While you're shitting in the basement, booties on your feet, not talking politics.
Do you also make them get in line like the soup Nazi, like plate, sit?
No, that's once we get to food, I kind of sit back and watch the primal version of people, knowing that they've got to, like, if they like the neck, there's only one neck, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, there's equal amount dark meat and light meat. There's plenty of mashed potatoes, but there's some things that are in short supply. And I kind of like it when we get to the point where Uncle Tom and Uncle Bob, they both like the neck. And it might come down to fisticuffs when it comes down to it.
What about going back for seconds before everyone else has had their first?
Oh, I don't mind.
You don't care?
I don't care.
Okay.
Remember, Thanksgiving always has more leftovers than any other place. There's not a lack of food. So if you want to go for your 5th deal, like we wrote the conduct based on what we thought we should do. So that's how we hold ourselves accountable to. So we don't feel like we're over consuming or going beyond the bounds of what's, expected. But from a host standpoint, eat that shit away. Like I can only have so many turkey sandwiches in a row. Eat it up.
Especially like I take Thanksgiving and I don't let myself feel guilty. It's one day. I'm going to have carbs. I'm going to have dessert. I'm going to do whatever. It's one meal of one day. Enjoy it. But if there's a lot left, it becomes another meal into another day. Because I'm going to not eat it? Nope. I'm going to eat it. So
make America
get
healthy
it out of
again.
here. Yeah.
Turkey sandwiches on day 9.
Let's just have like McDonald's come in for Thanksgiving.
Well, just set a date where you have so many days to go through the rest of the leftovers. And after the first day, then you have to have a healthy version of it. So if you just have white meat with no gravy and you You can still go through the leftovers without having a bad
Yeah.
version of it.
But if pie is left over.
Okay, so while you got 20 people in your house and you've got pie, and you know you don't need any more pie, you say something to the effect of, let me put together a plate of leftovers for you, and they leave with the pie, and then it leaves you, and then you don't have that option.
Oh my God, I feel like that's a whole other issue too. How many times have you been somewhere or you've hosted or whatever, and there's like the fight over, here you go, take these. I don't want to take it. Just
That's
take them.
politeness.
I don't want to take
That
Take them.
That's politeness, and you don't ask the question. Like every time you play that passive move, I'm going to put together a plate of leftovers for you. Isn't like, can I put a plate together of leftovers for you? Don't ask it. Just tell it. It's almost
like, I don't care if you put this in the trash can once you walk out the door, you're taking it.
Or don't even say it. Don't even do the lead up to it. Here's your plate of leftovers. Get out. Right?
Yeah.
Then there's no yes or no.
That brings up another weird. Speaking of weird food habits, is it weird if you have like a potluck? Let's say there's an event or there's a small meeting or group or something, and everybody brings something, and whatever you brought does not get finished. Is it weird to take it home with you, or do you leave it?
You made it?
Yeah. You made it. You brought it.
Yes, you take your shit home.
There's a bunch left. Do you take it, or do you leave it
for
the host?
No, first off, I don't eat food that's prepared by someone other than me. I've watched some of these crazy cat people.
I was just going to say, because the cats are walking on the counter.
Yeah, they don't prepare food the way that I would. And so
maybe they don't wash their hands or pull their hair out.
I'm suspicious of everything brought. Besides, like, I would say, is there any safe potluck stuff? Like, even cookies, like, I wouldn't do.
Maybe, like, if they're store-bought cookies?
Maybe store-bought, because there's at least a level of standard.
I don't know. If it looks good enough, I'll eat it, and I don't even care. Don't even tell me.
To answer your question is yes, you take your own shit home, and number 2, don't eat from a potluck because you just don't know what the cooker did or how it was cooked.
I don't know why I feel weird. Like, I feel like I'm taking a gift I brought back. Is that weird? I don't know.
Yes, it's very weird.
Clearly, it's not like the party's not over and I'm taking it. Like, maybe that would be weird.
You are too guilt-ridden. Just take your shit back.
Why do I second guess everything?
No, don't. Nobody even cares. There's not a single person. Did you see Kelin? Like, she had that chili she brought
it, and then they left with it. Which is also because if I were a host, I want you to take your stuff. I don't want your stuff here.
So it's a potluck. It's territory that nobody owns. If you leave it there, who the fuck takes it? Like, what is it? What happens to it?
And then your host is like, I gotta throw this out. Yes, it's extra cleanup
nobody
for
cares.
Me. I know. So
you are saving someone from having to dispose of it, or like, hey, Kelin, she just left all her shit here. Like, now I got extra work to do. Like, you're saving someone from that moment.
It's not weird.
Not at all.
Okay, that's good.